Let me share a story that illustrates just how important soil preparation is. A few years ago, I did a bunch of building and I expanded my garden area. I replaced one of my original raised beds, I expanded a second one, and I built a third one from scratch. Now I needed a bunch more soil, so I had some new soil delivered. The new soil that was delivered looked a lot different than the soil I already had in my garden, so I decided to have both soils tested. It turns out that these two soils were very different and they needed to be treated differently. But one of the things that the lab didn't tell me, but I could see just by looking at the soil, was that this new soil had a ton of rocks and gravel in it. Now I tried sifting the soil through a 1/2-inch screen that I use when I screen my compost, but all the gravel was too small and it went right through that. But there was a ton of small rocks and gravel, and I wanted to get them out because I thought they'd interfere with all of my root crops. Rocks do nothing in our gardens but take up space and help our soil drain faster, and I didn't have 1,000 years to wait for these rocks to break down naturally. So I built a sifter with a 1/4-inch screen to use for this purpose. Now I started off with a raised bed that had about 16 inches of soil in it, and after I removed all the small rocks, I lost about 4 inches, or about 25% of the soil volume that I had. On the bright side, this gave me the opportunity easily to mix in a healthy amount of compost along with the other fertilizers and nutrients that the soil test results told me I should add. Because I had so much material to add, I added a little bit at a time. I added about 2 inches at a time, and I mixed everything up. And I repeated the process after I added another couple inches. And to show you how much of an impact this had on my garden, let me show you this. This was a pretty good sized garden bed, and unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to take care of all the soil in the raised bed, to remove all the gravel from all the soil that first year. But I was able to take care of about 2/3 of this bed. But then the weather got warm and I needed to get plants on the ground. So I decided to do a little experiment. I grew 12 of 2 different kinds of pepper plants, lunchbox peppers and shishito peppers. And I decided to split each group in half, and I grew half in the plants in the untreated soil and the other half in the soil that had the gravel removed and compost added. Now, in fairness, I did turn over and aerate both of the soils before I planted anything. Now the results were really striking, with the plants that were grown in the soil that had been fortified getting much bigger and yielding a much bigger bounty, showing me the value of properly getting a garden bed ready.